Welcome to the Economist in Your Ear podcast. China's about to shape its next 5 years, 2026 to 2030, with its 15th five-year plan. This thing guides the world's second biggest economy.
It's a massive undertaking.
And it throws up this huge question, really. China's brilliant at making stuff, dominating manufacturing globally, right? But domestic spending is weak. So can Beijing actually boost consumption, get people spending more, without undermining that industrial power that, frankly, defines its global status?
That's absolutely the core tension, and the timing is critical. We're looking ahead to the fourth plenum, meeting in Beijing this October 20th to 23rd.
Right, that's where the political direction gets set.
Exactly. And the backdrop for this meeting, it perfectly highlights this contradiction you mentioned.
Yeah, it feels like the economy is being pulled two ways. You look at the official numbers, H1 2025 GDP growth, 5.3% year-on-year. Looks pretty strong.
On the surface, yes, robust.
But you dig a bit deeper, and it's all coming from, well, industrial investment and booming exports, isn't it?
Precisely. And then you contrast that with what's happening at home. Domestically, things look much weaker. We just saw CPI deflation, again, minus 0.4% year-on-year in August.
Hey, deflation?
Yeah. Consumption demand is just sputtering. And the thing is, when you produce way more than you consume yourself, it's not just an internal headache.
It spills over.
It spills over.
Right there.
It fuels those global trade tensions, the protectionist backlash we're seeing build up around the world.
Okay, so let's break this down. Maybe start with the production side. Because policy there seems, well, pretty unambiguous.
Crystal clear, I'd say.
The plan is definitely going to double down on high-end manufacturing. They've even got a catchy name for it. New quality productive forces. NQPF.
NQPF, yeah.
Is that just like a new buzzword? Or is there real substance behind NQPF, a real shift towards, advanced tech ecosystems?
Oh, it's much more than a slogan. NQPF is the official shorthand for a really comprehensive modernization drive. It's all about advanced tech.
Like what specifically?
We're talking specialty materials, next-gen robotics, industrial software, that's a big one. The whole idea is to climb the value chain, secure leadership in complex, high-value stuff.
And the motivation here? Is it purely economic efficiency, making things better, faster? Or is it really about national security, especially after all the recent trade friction, the export bans?
I'd say the driver is emphatically strategic resilience. That's the key word. Officials see relying on foreign suppliers for critical tech, what they call strangleholds.
Strangleholds.
Like advanced chips.
Exactly. Advanced semiconductors, sophisticated industrial controls, even things like high-performance aircraft engines. Reducing dependency there is now seen as a top national security imperative.
So the U.S. chip bans from 2022 really focused minds in Beijing.
Absolutely an inflection point. It pushed self-reliance right to the top of the agenda. It's about de-risking their own supply chains by mastering the really hard parts themselves.
Makes sense. And look, this isn't just defensive. They're willing to be quite aggressive in using their supply chain leverage. We saw that with the tightening of rare earth export controls back in October.
Right, using their industrial muscle as a tool.
It's explicitly part of the state toolkit now. Diplomatic leverage, economic leverage, it's all connected.
Okay, let's bring AI into this NQPF picture. You hear this big target. Integrate AI into 90% of manufacturing by 2030. Sounds like making factories smarter, right? Automation.
That's part of it, sure, optimizing factory floors, but the sources suggest something much, much bigger is planned. This AI Plus guideline.
Ah, yes, AI Plus. What's that about?
The ambition is way wider than just assembly lines. The 5-year plan is almost certainly going to formally adopt this AI Plus guideline from late August. And it's comprehensive, meaning the 2030 target isn't just manufacturing. It mandates that smart terminals, AI agents, must penetrate over 90% across the board. AI has to comprehensively empower all development.
All development. So industry, services, government, everything.
Everything. It's not just smarter robots. It's a mandate for economy-wide digital transformation. Think healthcare, finance, even how local governments operate.
Whoa, it's ambitious.
It signals continuity, really, but it maps out very specific, measurable adoption milestones for 2027 and 2030.
Creating accountability.
Exactly. Creates a mandatory scoreboard for every province. It forces local leaders to roll out detailed plans and ensures they're held accountable across all sectors, not just state-backed manufacturing.
Okay, that industrial ambition is clear. But it sets up the other side perfectly, this consumption problem. the demand deficit. Just how bad is it structurally?
It's deep. It's really structural. The numbers, they're pretty stark. China makes around 30% of the world's manufactured goods.
30%, huge.
Huge. But its consumers only account for about 18% of global consumption.
18, wow, quite a gap.
And structurally, if you look at final consumption, that's households plus government spending, it's only about 57% of China's GDP.
57%, compared to what globally?
The global norm is much higher, closer to 73%.
73. Okay, so that 16-point gap really tells the story. That's the anchor dragging on domestic growth, causing those deflationary issues we talked about.
Absolutely. And that deficit is why you see everyone, external experts, domestic economists, practically shouting advice at Beijing.
Like what kind of advice?
Well, you have names like Scott Bessent weighing in. Citigroup even floated this massive $1.6 trillion package of measures.
$1.6 trillion. For what?
To boost household spending. Things like expanding health insurance coverage, making preschools free, big ticket items.
And domestic experts are pushing too.
Oh, yes. People like Lu Feng and Peng Sen are saying the plan needs a hard number, a target to raise that consumption share by, say, 5 to 10 percentage points by 2030.
That would be a radical shift.
Truly transformative. But, and this is a big but, this is where we hit the welfare wall.
Welfare wall?
Yeah. Why are these really ambitious ideas, a sort of Big Bang welfare expansion, Nordic-style transfers, why are they almost certainly not going to be in the final plan?
What's stopping them? Is it just the cost? That sounds incredibly expensive.
Cost is definitely the first hurdle. Fiscal reality. Remember, it's the local governments who mostly handle things like basic pensions and social support.
And they're already stretched.
Stretched thin is putting it mildly. They're short of cash. Many are relying on central government help just to deal with piles of risky, hidden debt left over from the property boom years. They simply don't have the budget for huge, new national entitlement programs.
Okay, so the money isn't there locally, but you mentioned a wall. Is there more to it? An ideological block?
That's the other critical piece. You could say it's non-negotiable. The central leadership has consistently warned against what they call excessive welfare dependency.
They're worried about treating reliance.
The argument is basically that overly generous state handouts, big transfers, reduce people's willingness to work, reduce labor participation, and ultimately create inefficiencies in the economy.
So they fear that too much redistribution could actually hurt the productivity drive, the whole NQPF push they're so focused on.
Exactly. It's a clash of priorities. So, big direct state handouts aimed at quickly rebalancing towards consumption. They're politically and philosophically off the table for this 5-year plan.
Okay, so if massive welfare isn't the answer, how do they plan to lift demand? Tackle that 57% consumption share? What's the likely compromise?
They'll likely stick to more selective, non-transfer methods. We'll probably see continued support for smaller-scale things, child and elder care pilot programs, maybe more aggressive trade-in schemes for cars and appliances, that sort of thing.
But those feel incremental. Is there anything that signals a more fundamental shift, a real commitment to boosting demand structurally?
There is one potentially significant change to watch for. It's subtle, but it could be quite potent. It's in the language of the plan.
What language specifically?
Previous plans often aim for household income to grow in line with GDP growth. The expectation this time is that the plan will demand household disposable income growth be faster than GDP growth.
Faster than GDP. Okay,
Yeah.
That's subtle, but I see why it's important.
It shifts the focus away from just redistribution towards actually generating more income at the household level.
How? Through productivity.
Yes, mainly through boosting productivity and wages in service sectors, things like health, tourism, education. It's trying to solve the demand problem via the supply side by making people earn more.
Right. We won't just give you welfare checks. We'll try to make sure your paycheck grows faster than the whole economy.
That's the essence of it, the productivity-first approach.
Okay, so 5-year plans, they could be huge, sprawling documents, right?
Yeah.
Lots of aspirational goals, sometimes hard to know what's real. When this thing lands in March 2026, how does the listener cut through the noise? What are the key things to look for, the real commitments?
That's always the challenge with these plans, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have to look past the broad statements and focus on the goals that are specific and quantified.
Because those are the ones they track.
Exactly. Officials know they are judged on hitting the numbers they set. And they almost always do hit them, which also suggests they're cautious about setting targets they can't reach. So the real measure of commitment is it specific? Is it quantified?
Got it. So what are the handful of metrics, the real litmus tests we should be watching for in this plan?
I'd highlight 4 key areas. First, those AI plus milestones are the specific 2027 and 2030 adoption checkpoints we talked about actually in the final plan verbatim. And crucially, are there sector-specific targets? Manufacturing versus services? That tells you if the economy-wide push is real.
Makes sense. Second, focusing on the industrial side.
Yeah, the hard tech KPIs. We need concrete numbers here. Things like enterprise R&D intensity, how much companies are spending on research, the actual count of intelligent factories, robot density per worker, industrial software uptake.
These are the non-negotiables for de-risking.
Absolutely. They tell you precisely how much political capital and, frankly, money is behind achieving that self-reliance in critical tech areas.
Okay. Third, back to the demand side, that income commitment.
That's the income wording. It sounds simple, but it's crucial. Does the final plan truly mandate that household disposable income must grow faster than GDP? If that specific phrasing is there, it signals a real structural commitment, even if implementation is tough.
And finally, you mentioned local government debt earlier. How do we know they're not just shuffling deck chairs fiscally?
Look for fiscal guardrails. Is there any new national mechanism to help local governments actually pay for social spending without just letting them run up more risky, hidden, property-style debt?
Like better revenue sharing or more central funding?
Something like that. A sustainable way to fund these necessary social outlays. That would be a very important signal about long-term stability.
Okay, so pulling it all together, what we expect to see is a plan that's very tech-heavy, very focused on productivity, doubling down on industrial modernization.
Pretty much, yes.
And that core tension in the industrial might versus weak domestic demand, it's likely going to be managed mainly through tech progress and these income growth promises, rather than any big pivot to welfare transfers.
That's the most probable path. It's an acceleration of where they're already heading, but hopefully with clearer, quantified signposts for innovation and this pledge of a wealthier consumer base built on higher productivity, not handouts.
All right, let me leave you, our listener, with a final thought to mull over. If these global trade frictions keep escalating, getting worse, will China's strategy, this deep dive into hard tech self-reliance, will it actually strengthen its economy enough to finally overcome its structural demand weaknesses? Or could that intense industrial focus just end up worsening tensions with the rest of the world, maybe leading to more isolation? Something to think about. Thanks for listening. Follow us for daily insights into world affairs, and don't forget to like, comment, and share.